Can you guess who the new owner of BKFC is? That's right, the one and only Conor McGregor. But this was not the first, nor will it be the last, business investment of the notorious. As if he had a GPS for success, the Irish superstar always knows how to play his cards right when it comes to marketing. That leads to the question, is Conor an MMA GOAT, whose name will be remembered as one of the best to step into the octagon, or is he just a marketing king and a smart businessman who always knows what he is doing? Let's take a closer look and let you decide. Conor McGregor just expanded his combat sports empire by becoming a part owner of Knuckle Fighting Championships. The former two-division UFC champion shared the news during the BKFC Knucklemania 4 event in Los Angeles.
What's up, Knucklemania? The notorious Conor McGregor here. Ladies and gentlemen, the huge announcement that I have for you today. Conor McGregor, myself, and McGregor Sports and Entertainment is now an owner of Knuckle Fighting Championship. Welcome to the big leagues. David Feldman, baby, we did it.
McGregor Sports and Entertainment, his company, will now be a part owner of BKFC, while Triller remains the majority shareholder. BKFC President David Feldman was thrilled by the news, especially after McGregor attended a 2023 event and engaged in a face-off with Mike Perry. McGregor had previously expressed interest in competing in a bare-knuckle fight, and now he's not just a fighter, but also the owner of the world's most successful bare-knuckle organization. BKFC has been expanding rapidly, including into international markets, and partnering with McGregor will help reach even more fans. This partnership could also pave the way for BKFC events in McGregor's native Ireland. But as we know, this wasn't the first smart business move that the Irishman has made. By 2016, McGregor was the highest paid UFC fighter when it comes to guaranteed money. For UFC 202, he was guaranteed $3 million, plus a percentage of the pay-per-view earnings, which is where the big payday comes from. With the rumored $5 per view and 1.65 million sold, he earned about $8.25 million, plus a $100,000 purse for winning the fight. In total, McGregor took home about $11.35 million for UFC 202, and that's not even counting his numerous endorsement deals, which bring in millions more. The Irish UFC fighter has transformed his life from relying on welfare to amassing a net worth of over $100 million in just 5 years. His journey from an ordinary life to a superstar has earned him millions of fans, as well as haters. While he's been known as a fighter and an entrepreneur, there's one aspect of his success that shouldn't be overlooked. Conor McGregor is a marketing genius. Part of this is due to his outgoing and confident personality, but there's no denying that he has deliberately drawn attention to himself, ultimately benefiting personally from it. Attracting attention is the first step in marketing. Athletes, celebrities, artists, and businesses all thrive on publicity and convert it into profits through sales, sponsorships, and leveraging their fame to achieve their goals. So why is McGregor currently at the top of the sport in terms of popularity and earnings? Conor McGregor's journey in the UFC began with his first fight against Marcus Brimage, where he entered the octagon draped in the Irish flag. McGregor defeated Brimage in spectacular fashion in the first round. His next fight with Max Holloway ended in another McGregor victory via decision. McGregor's following 3 fights against Brandao, Poirier, and Silver ended in stoppages via punches, solidifying his status as one of the most exciting fighters in the UFC. McGregor's winning streak, combined with his media savvy, caught the attention of the UFC. They began to fully support McGregor with the UFC marketing machine, including his coaching stint on The Ultimate Fighter Season 22. McGregor went on to win the vacant UFC Interim Featherweight Championship against Mendes after Aldo pulled out last minute due to an injury. McGregor then faced the reigning champion, Jose Aldo, defeating him in a stunning 13 seconds. After Rafael Dos Anjos pulled out of their fight due to a broken foot, Nate Diaz stepped up on 11 days' notice to fight Conor at welterweight. This fight was a huge promotional success and elevated both fighters' status, although Conor was defeated by submission due to a rear naked choke. McGregor's rematch with Diaz became the second highest grossing event in UFC history, with 1.6 million pay-per-view buys. McGregor avenged his loss, winning via decision. The Notorious continued his success by defeating Eddie Alvarez, securing the lightweight championship belt, and becoming the first double champ in UFC history. At the peak of his fame, Conor pursued a fight with Floyd Mayweather in a boxing crossover match. McGregor faced the legendary boxer, losing in the 10th round via TKO. This event became the second highest grossing boxing match of all time, only surpassed by Mayweather vs. Pacquiao. McGregor's rivalry with Khabib Nurmagomedov became one of the biggest in UFC history, The animosity began when Khabib had an altercation with Conor's teammate Artem Lobov. McGregor and his team flew to New York during fight week, where they attacked a bus carrying Khabib and other fighters. This incident led to a brawl, with Khabib jumping the octagon fence to fight McGregor's coaching staff, while Conor's team tried to fight Khabib. The McGregor vs. Khabib fight became the highest-selling UFC fight of all time, fueled by genuine animosity. McGregor lost the fight, and a post-fight brawl erupted as Khabib attacked Conor's coaching staff while Conor's team retaliated. In Conor's return to the octagon, he defeated Donald Cerrone 40 seconds into round 1. His subsequent fights against Dustin Poirier did not go his way, but McGregor is now preparing to fight Michael Chandler next. This is the Conor saga in MMA, which catapulted him where he wanted to be so that he could use his marketing skills to become one of the richest sportsmen in history. That leads to the next question. How did Conor McGregor bring attention to himself and build his brand successfully? One of Conor McGregor's trademarks is his ability to talk trash, which he took to a whole new level. If Chael Sonnen was the godfather of trash talk, Conor perfected it. But what makes Conor stand out is that he can back up his words with actions. In the UFC, there are plenty of fighters who talk a big game, but Conor is arguably the best at it. What sets him apart is that he often proves himself right. He dominated the UFC featherweight division, culminating in his infamous 13-second knockout of champion Jose Aldo. Another thing that adds to Conor's aura is his fashion sense. While most fighters showed up in gym clothes or casual wear, Conor made sure to wear well-tailored suits, drawing even more attention to himself. It didn't take long for other fighters to start following his lead. After becoming a two-division UFC champion, McGregor decided to try his hand at boxing, taking on the legendary Floyd Mayweather. The Mayweather vs. McGregor fight was dubbed the billion-dollar fight and introduced McGregor to a wider audience beyond MMA and boxing fans. Despite ultimately losing, the fight and its press conferences catapulted McGregor's fame to new heights. Outside of fighting, McGregor is also very active on social media. If you follow him on Instagram, you'll often see him flaunting his wealth, much like Floyd Mayweather. Even people who aren't fans of either fighter still follow them to see their flashy cars, expensive watches, and designer clothes. McGregor, like Mayweather, understands the importance of attracting attention to build his brand and live a superstar lifestyle. But besides these obvious factors, there were things that McGregor could see and capitalize on that nobody before him could. He found a need in a market that needed fulfilling. He learned that, although MMA is a sport, it's still show business where entertainers are rare. He capitalized on the deficit by standing for something, being polarizing, and making people care about him, whether they loved him or hated him. When Dana White first met Conor McGregor, he saw something special in him. Dana sensed Conor's star power right away. It wasn't just Conor's skills in the ring that impressed Dana. It was his personality, his laugh, and his charisma that stood out. Conor McGregor had big dreams from the start. He wanted to be a UFC champion and to be rich and famous. To achieve this, he embraced an outlandish persona. He was witty and knew how to entertain people. This also helped him become a huge name in the fighting world. Outside of the ring, though, many fans and casual observers say McGregor is a completely different person. They describe him as nice and pleasant. So is the Conor McGregor we see in the UFC just a character he plays? There have been other fighters in the UFC who found success with bold and controversial personalities. McGregor may not always be the hero, but he is always polarizing. In many ways, he's like a character from WWE, drawing attention whether you love him or hate him. Regardless of how you feel about him, Conor McGregor is a household name among MMA and boxing fans. Like the greatest fighters before him, McGregor understands that any attention is valuable. Even if people tune in to see him lose, they're still tuning in, and that's what matters. Furthermore, the Notorious knew exactly which fan base he would attract. In Conor McGregor's first UFC fight, he walked to the ring with an Irish flag draped over his shoulders. Even before he became a global superstar, Conor was working hard to represent Irish MMA around the world. As Conor's fame grew, it seemed like half of Ireland would travel to see him fight. The UFC, which had already conquered the American MMA market, saw an opportunity to expand into Europe, and Conor McGregor would lead the charge, representing all of Ireland. McGregor's fan base began with his fellow countrymen, but as he became more famous, his fans came from all over. He also didn't mind walking the road less traveled. He learned that, in order to be successful, you need to be different from the rest, and discovered what sets him apart from the crowd. Conor McGregor always had big dreams. He imagined himself as a massive star, a rich, popular, double champ. He thought about how a double champ would act, look, and speak. There were rumors that McGregor was getting easy fights, and some believed the UFC was protecting him to grow the European market. Instead of denying this, McGregor embraced it. He even talked about his close relationship with Lorenzo, one of the former UFC owners. They had a tradition of toasting a shot of whiskey after McGregor's wins, which he saw as a sign of his rise from plumber's apprentice to UFC star. But if you look at Conor's Instagram from the beginning, you'll see a transformation from a typical fighter to a businessman surrounded by luxury, expensive clothes, cars, and private jets. He's known for his trademark suits now. In business, marketing and positioning are crucial for success, and McGregor has mastered them, helping him dominate the market. The Notorious also learned about the machine that drives the industry. Conor McGregor worked hard to build his personal brand, entertaining fans and winning fights in spectacular fashion. He understood that winning fights wasn't just about the competition, it was also about playing the game outside the ring. In the fight game, winning isn't always enough to get top billing. Some fighters who keep winning don't get main events or title shots. Why is that? McGregor understood the system. He knew that putting up big numbers and creating hype around his fights would lead to bigger opportunities. The UFC is not just about the fights, it's also a promotion and hype machine. Its job is to sell fights, build storylines, and develop fighters. Conor leveraged this understanding to boost his brand. He talked trash, created rivalries, and won fights in spectacular fashion. He also used social media to engage with his fans, building a strong following. The UFC noticed McGregor's growing popularity and invested more in promoting him. He even coached on The Ultimate Fighter Season 22, further increasing his visibility and drawing in more fans. This cycle of popularity, promotion, and success continues to benefit McGregor. With fame and celebrity, McGregor has found opportunities beyond the ring. His popularity has led to bigger purses, sponsorship deals, and other opportunities. And of course, he did something that nobody had ever thought of doing before. He leveraged other people's audiences. In 2015, a video surfaced of Conor sparring with Game of Thrones' The Mountain. This playful session helped Conor gain exposure to the Game of Thrones audience who follow Hafthor Julius Bjornsson. Appearing on the Ultimate Fighter series and sparring with The Mountain in the same year allowed Conor to tap into other people's audiences. This means reaching fans of Uriah Faber who might not have been fans of Conor, as well as Game of Thrones fans who followed The Mountain. Conor's efforts to expand his audience didn't stop there. He has appeared on the cover of GQ, been featured on the cover of Call of Duty Infinite Warfare, and made appearances on Conan O'Brien's late night show. He even sang pub songs with Jimmy Fallon. Who can forget his legendary role in the Roadhouse remake, where he acted alongside Jake Gyllenhaal? However, McGregor's biggest move to leverage other people's audiences was his crossover fight with Mayweather. Mayweather is considered boxing's greatest fighter ever, with a massive audience. The fight introduced Conor McGregor to the entire boxing audience, further expanding his reach and fame. While most of the UFC fighters on the roster spend all the time in the gym during preparations, the Irishman learned that he needs to put a big accent on promotion. Training for MMA is no joke. Fighters put in hours every day, working on different fighting styles, lifting weights, and doing lots of cardio. They also need time to rest and recover from all that intense training. Given how demanding MMA training is, you might wonder how fighters find time to promote their fights. Conor McGregor, however, has managed to balance both. He makes appearances, goes on press tours, and appears on TV, podcasts, and more, all while keeping up his training schedule. Many fighters find promoting their fights to be a challenge. It takes time away from training and preparation. But McGregor understands that promotion is crucial for success in MMA. It helps fighters become more well-known and can lead to bigger opportunities and paydays. And then we come to the final question. Is Conor McGregor an MMA GOAT or a marketing king? The Notorious has undeniably left a lasting impact on MMA, both as a fighter and a marketing phenomenon. His accomplishments in the octagon, including becoming a two-division UFC champion and participating in some of the most memorable fights in UFC history, solidify his status as one of the sport's greats. Who can forget his epic battles against Nate Diaz? What about the 13-second KO versus Jose Aldo? He is the first UFC fighter to hold UFC championships in 2 weight classes simultaneously. That's not an easy feat. However, McGregor's genius extends beyond his fighting accomplishments. His ability to market himself and generate massive interest in his fights has been instrumental in his success and has helped elevate the sport's popularity. Conor's ventures outside of MMA, such as his ownership in BKFC and his various business ventures, further demonstrate his business sharpness and marketing prowess. Therefore, while Conor McGregor is undoubtedly an excellent fighter, his impact on MMA and combat sports as a whole may ultimately be defined by his marketing genius and eye for business, solidifying his legacy as a marketing GOAT. Thank you for tuning in, fight fans, and we can't wait to see you in the next one.